BPST-III Data Collection, Next Steps and Resources for Teaching. So you've completed the Basic Phonics Skills Test 3 with your students. Now what's next? The first thing you're going to do is to get yourself a copy of this template. So you'll go to bit.ly/bpstdata, all lowercase, no spaces. Then you'll go up to File, Make a Copy, and you can name it whatever you want and save it in your own Google Drive. And click Make a Copy. Now you have your own editable version of this. There are 3 sections at the bottom. The first says Scores by Sections. The second tab says Letter and Vowel Sounds. And the third tab says Overall Scores. So here's what the blank template looks like. I can go ahead and manually type in my kids' names, or if I have them already in a Google Sheet somewhere, then I can just copy and paste them in here. So that's what I'll do just to demonstrate. And then I'm going to go through, and each one of these represents part of the BPST-III. So I'm just going to put in my scores that the student got. And if they get nothing, don't leave it blank. Actually fill it in as 0. And then I'll just put in another row here. And I'm just right off of the sheet. Whatever they scored is what I'm writing down there. Okay, so now that I've got that done for 2 students, I'm going to scroll down and you can see it's already starting to graph the students reading words, and the BPST-III totals are being put into these handy dandy graphs automatically. It feeds into it for you. Then I also want to go to the next page and I can actually copy my names again. I'm going to go into letter and vowel sounds. Not everyone may want this, but especially for kindergarten grade 1 teachers, it's really important to be able to know to work from the known and know which letters your student knows. So these are for the letter sounds. So I could go ahead and for these students, I'm just randomly selecting them right now, as you can see. But this would be based on what they actually did on the BPST-III if I wanted to know how they were doing. Let's just go like this. Just there we go. Perfect. So now there's data for these 2 students. On this page, I'm going to put their names on here. So I'm again just pasting from the other page. So now that I've filled in some scores here across, and I filled in the letter and vowel sounds that they knew, then I go to the third tab here where it says overall scores. And it has auto-populated for me the letter sounds and the BPST reading score right there for me. The names one is optional because we don't always necessarily do that with all students, but it is there if you wanted to manually put that in. Then the drop-down menu here is when you're going to choose, okay, what is this student's main area of concern, or what do I need to focus on the most? So if I went to Katie's, I would look at Katie, where she sort of needs the most support. Well, she really needs to know consonant names, consonant sounds, short vowel sounds. So in there, I would choose, I'm going to say consonant sounds, followed by vowel sounds. And then I would do the same thing for each of my students. I'd analyze the results. And this is giving me my idea of, okay, sort of mini lessons, next steps. Once all your data is filled out, it might start to look a little something like this. Color-coded really easily. Green means yes, they got it. Orange means approaching. And red or gray means they really didn't. They needed a lot more support with that particular skill. Sometimes you might want to just sort this really quickly. So I'm going to go up to the top. Sort sheet A to Z. Now you can quickly see at a glance, the vast majority of these students were able to do consonant digraphs. Just a small little group of 5. I could quickly pull those kids aside and do some work. But what do I do with them? And this is the interesting thing. Up here, each one of these has a link. And these links will take you to some pages that have information about little things you might use as a mini lesson. There's little tips on the top of each page. And then there's some various resources that you'll find here as well. PDFs and Google Slides that might be helpful if you're pulling aside a little group and you wanted to work on those 3 and 4 syllable words, decoding that, then that'll help you with some resources to use. And there's a page like that for every single piece here in the BPST-III. One last little word of warning here is please do not delete any of the data that's in here in the column C or column D in the overall scores section, because that will actually break the code that brings the information in. So we're always going to start entering our scores here. We're not going to change anything in the total score, because the total score, reading words, those two last columns are automatically added up for you. So you never need to enter data in there or delete data. If you do, it will break the code that's in there. Similarly with the letter and vowel sounds, every time I click off one of these, it adds to the score. I do not need to manually do anything in this final tally section here. And if I do so, I end up then potentially breaking the code and it won't work anymore. So just keep that in mind. If you do that by mistake, just make a copy of the original template again, and you can start over. Using this resource can help you to quickly group students for instruction, work from the known, choose or create decodable texts, and help with lesson planning.